Hello everyone, welcome to our 12 days 12 use case webinar series. In today's webinar, I will demonstrate how to convert one of the popular restaurant website, Starbucks, into mobile applications using Twinr. So if you are in restaurant industry and using a website technology such as Shopify, WordPress or any other website technologies, then you can convert your website into mobile apps using Twinr. So now let's start creating an application out of Starbucks website. So first thing first, let's start by creating our application. Okay, so to create an application, I'll click on the create app button here. Now, Starbucks is a restaurant website, so I'm going to select a restaurant template here. And the application name, which is Starbucks, and the website. Let's bring up the website URL, which is this one. And the website platform. Okay, now we have two new options introduced here, which is remove header and remove footer. So from Twinr 2.0, we are introducing Twinr automation engine. Twinr automation engine will do the lot of automatic work for you, okay, which includes finding out a few of the screens automatically, some important screens automatically in your application. For example, in terms of restaurant, right, it will find menu page URL, order page URL, account page URL automatically for you if you want to use it in the mobile application, right? And other automations that we will be doing is remove header and remove footer. Okay, so for example, in your website, if I make it responsive here, so that's how it looks like. Okay, now in the mobile application, I might prefer to use a native navigation bar, okay, instead of using this website header in the app directly. So what I will do, I want to remove the header and the footer in my mobile application. I don't want to display the footer as well in my mobile application, right? So in that situation, until now everything was manual, but from now on, right, we have automated this process. So for example, if you will keep these options enabled, that means our Twinr automation engine will automatically identify header and footer elements from your website, okay, and it will remove it from the mobile application that you are currently building. Okay, so if you want to remove it, you can keep these options enabled. If not, then you can just disable it. Okay, so let me disable the header option for now, just for the demo purpose. Okay, and then go next. Okay, so here you see I have a home screen URL available. Now let's bring up the menu screen URL. Okay, so for the menu screen, I'm going to get the order screen URL from here, which is this one. And then under the account screen, I'm going to get the account screen URL as well. So for the account, maybe personal info. Okay, so instead of using this one, actually I'm going to use profile, which is there. Okay, let's see how does that look like. Okay, so that's what the account screen URL is. This is okay, so I'm going to use it for the account screen and then build an application. Okay, so our application is available here now. Okay, so now the next thing is that we need to go to the application dashboard and do all the customizations. But before that, I want to highlight our Twinr preview application here. Okay, so whenever you are working on your application, basically using Twinr preview app, you will be able to see all those changes live in your mobile application. Okay, so just install the Twinr application in your Android mobile, and you need to use the similar user and password that you have for the portal to log in here. Once you will log in there, you will see the list of applications like this. So just click on the application that you want to preview and it will open a preview for you. So while you will be doing some changes in your application, all of those changes will be available to preview in the preview app. Okay, so it's really important while you are working on your application to see the changes that you are doing, how those changes are looking like and everything, right? So that's really important. So I would highly recommend installing this app. Now in any situation, for example, if you don't have an Android mobile, right, to install this app, then don't worry about it. We have integrated devices, simulated devices in the portal itself. Okay, so I'll explain you later on when we'll come to that part. So if you don't have an Android device, you can preview it inside the portal as well. So now the third option here is a delete button, which I think pretty self-explanatory. So I'm not going into that detail right now. Okay, now let's go to the application dashboard here. Okay, so on the dashboard here, we can see the preview app will be the first step to start with, which you already discussed about, right? The next option is branding. So under the branding, we will be doing a lot of branding related setup, and then after the application theme and the customized screen. So we'll be going through all these steps one by one, right? The next one is live chat. So while you are working on your application and you have any questions or concerns or any confusion, right, you can always reach out to us via live chat here. So click on this button and then just start chatting with us, and someone will be there and they will help you over the chat. Okay, the next one is step-by-step guide to create your application. So we have a video tutorial series prepared for you. Specifically, all the steps are explained one by one there, right? And then once you will go through those video tutorial, it will cover all these different parts here to create, customize, preview, build application, and everything will be there. So I'd highly recommend going through those video series as well. Okay, now let's go to the next one, which is a branding section. Okay, so I'll click on set up branding from here. So this will bring me to the branding menu. Okay, so first thing is application name here. So as you can see, the application name is already, we can see that here. So when user will install an application, your application name will be displayed here. Okay, the next two information is iOS bundle ID and Android package name, but it's not really important right now because this information will be required when we want to publish our applications to Play Store and App Store account. So I'm gonna skip that for now. The next one is app icon. So let me upload the application icon here for the Starbucks, which will be this one. Open. Yeah. So as you can see that my icon will be displayed like this in the mobile application, right? Let me update this. So my icon is up to date now. Let's go to the launch screen. So the launch screen will be displayed when user will open an application. Okay, so the launch screen will be displayed first, and then after 1 second, they will be able to see the actual other content of the application, other part of the application. So you can utilize launch screen for your branding purpose as well, for the marketing purpose as well, however you want it, right? But launch screen is a standard element in mobile applications. So both Android and iOS is gonna follow this process. I'll select an image here. Okay, this one, and then let me update this. Okay, perfect. So now we have a launch screen updated, we have icon updated, we have app info updated. The next part is application permissions, which is really important right now. Okay, so why application permissions are really important? Because for example, in your website you have an edit profile menu. Okay, so if we go here, then this is my edit profile menu, right? Now right now in Starbucks we don't have a like uploading profile picture or anything like that, but maybe in your website you have a edit profile. Under the edit profile you have a profile picture uploading or something like that, right, where user can change their profile picture. Now in the website, when user want to change their profile picture, basically they will select it from the drive, from the local directory, right? But in the mobile application, that's a different situation. In the mobile apps, they will be using either camera or they will be using the mobile photo library, right? Either of these options here. So if they are using camera, right, then mobile application will require a camera permission from the user, that okay, we require a camera permission, so you will need to allow a permission to access the camera. Now when application will ask for the permission, it will display a message there that why do we really need a permission. Okay, so if that permission, that permission message is really important, because when user will read that message permission, they will decide that I want to give a permission for this use case or not, right? So first important thing is that you should carefully decide your permission message. Okay, so let me go to the camera permission here, and you see the message here. Okay, now here I have clearly mentioned that please allow us to access your camera to update your profile picture. So this is just a one example. Okay, this is not a final text. You should update this text based on your requirement. Okay, so here I'm mentioning that you should allow this permission if you want to update your profile picture through camera. Okay, so that's self-explanatory. Now second thing, why this is important, because Apple is very strict about this. Okay, So for example, if you will not provide this permission message properly, right, they call it a purpose string basically. So if you will not provide this message properly, then they will reject your application saying that you are asking for a camera permission, but the message that you are displaying, that you are using, is not good, it's not proper, or it's not aligned with the feature that you are asking this permission for. Okay, in that situation they will reject your application with the reason. Okay, so at that point this message becomes really important if you just don't want to go through that rejection process, you know. So take this message very seriously, and whenever you enable this permission, I would highly recommend customizing this permission. The another one is permission rationale message. Okay, so what is permission rationale message? So for example, we did ask for the permission, okay, but for some reason user denied that permission. Now next time they are again going to the profile screen, they are again trying to change their profile picture, and they are again trying to access the camera, but it's not there, it's not going to work for them. Why? Because camera permission is already being denied by them, right? So in that situation, obviously we cannot ask any permission again. Once user has taken a decision, that's final. We cannot ask the permission again. Those are the restrictions from Apple and iOS side. Okay, we cannot ask the permission again. Now if they want to enable the permission, right, they will need to go to the application settings screen, right, the mobile's application settings screen, right, and from there they will need to enable the permission. So now how we can guide them to go there? Okay, so that's what the permission rationale message means. Whenever they will try to access the camera again in the denied status, in the denied state, right, obviously we cannot ask the permission again. So instead we will be displaying a permission rationale message as an alert on the screen that you should enable this permission now because you are trying to access the camera or whatever it is, right? And this alert message, this alert pop-up will have two buttons. One is to cancel the pop-up, and the second one is a settings button. So basically when they will click on the setting button, okay, it will directly bring them to the application settings. So they don't need to go there manually. Okay, that setting button will automatically bring them to the application settings screen. Okay, so that's why this permission rationale message is really important, because it can bring your users back to the normal permission state, and that's what really you prefer as well, right? Because all of the functionalities and all of the permission that you are asking from your users, you prefer that they allow those permissions, so all the functionalities and features of your application works as it is, right? So that's why the permission section is really important, and you should take these messages very seriously. Okay, so I'm going to actually enable this permission, then the photo library as well. So let me save it as a draft, this one as well. Now microphone, not really important right now, so I'm gonna skip this. App tracking transparency, another really good permission that we need to discuss about. The first use case is your website or your application is going to be a GDPR compliant. So for example, if you are asking for a cookie pop-up in your website, which is a GDPR requirement, right? So in that situation, you must enable this app tracking transparency permission in your application as well. If you will not do it, then iOS is gonna reject your application. Okay, because that's a requirement from the iOS side, and this permission is only related to iOS application. It's not related to Android. So if you are building an application only for Android, then you should ignore this. But if you are building for both Android and iOS, then you should enable this permission if your application falls under GDPR compliance. Okay. The second use case, that if you want to really track your users' activity and you want to see that what they are doing, how they are using their application and everything, right? Then also app tracking transparency permission is required. So there are some of the libraries, some of the third-party SDKs and libraries require this permission to track the user, like AppsFlyer is one of the example, right? Because AppsFlyer is basically event tracking analytics library. So if you are using those kind of libraries in your website, right, for tracking purpose, and you want to use everything automatically in the application itself, then you should enable the app tracking transparency permission, okay, which is required again. Okay, so I'm going to use this permission right now for the demo purpose. Okay, so let's do that. And then the next one is location permission. So I think in terms of the Starbucks, obviously they have multiple locations. Okay, so if we go to their find a store menu, here we can see the map and the different locations here and everything. So location permission becomes useful as well, right? So let me enable this permission again and save it as a draft. Okay, all good. So we did set up app permissions as well. So now our branding setup is done. Okay, now let's go to the app theme. Okay, so before doing anything here, what I want to do, let's preview that how our application currently looks like. Okay, so let me open a preview here, and as you can see that in my preview app I have a Starbucks here. So let me click on the Starbucks now, and yeah, there you go. So initially we had created 3 screens, which is home, menu and account. So all those screens are available here. Okay, I'm also logged in right now, so it says all these things. My account is already logged in and everything is there. All good. Okay, so there are now next thing is, as you can see that in the bottom bar here, okay, currently my text is black, my icon is black as well. Okay, and then if it is not selected, then it is gray and my text is gray as well. So usually in the mobile apps, what we see that whenever we have a selected and unselected states like this, okay, for the selected state we usually use our brand color, right? So what I'll do, I want to change this color to the brand color that the Starbucks has, okay, which is kind of a dark green color. So let's do that. So here we have an option under the app theme, which is a tab bar selected color, and then I will change this color to Starbucks brand color, which is 006341. Yeah, that's what their brand color is. Okay, and now their unselected color, so I'm going to change it to their unselected state color, which is 858585. This is their unselected, I mean the kind of another brand color that they are using. Okay, now let's save it as a draft. Go here and reload this again. So you see my text is actually changed to the brand color, but icon is still black, and similarly these are still gray, which is good. We want unselected as a gray, so that's fine. But here the icon is, we still need to update it. Okay, so we are going to do that as well. Once we'll go to the screen section, from there we will be able to change the icon to a different color and everything. So we'll do that. Okay, now the next thing here I want to do is about navigation bar title size. Okay, it's a bit smaller based on whatever other text styles and guidelines they are following. It looks a bit smaller to me. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's change the title font size to 20 pixel. Save it as a draft, go here and then reload this. Okay, yeah, now it looks better to me actually based on the titles, sizes and everything they are using. This size looks better to me. Okay, so I'm gonna keep this now. Okay, there are some other colors, other setups here that you can use. Navigation bar, title color, background color and everything, right? Title font size and all those things, but I'm going to keep it as it is for now. Okay, I'm not gonna do any changes here. Okay, perfect. So now let's go to our next part, which is a screens menu. Okay, so under the screens menu, first thing I want to highlight is about our simulated devices. So when I was discussing about the preview application, I had mentioned about the simulated devices, right? So these are the simulated devices you have available here inside the portal itself to preview it. Okay, so if you don't have an Android device, then just you can use these devices to test your application. And both the devices are available. Android and iOS devices are available here. You just need to switch it like this. Okay. Okay, all good. So I'm not going to use it. So let me close it for now. Okay, first thing. So now when I create an application, the first thing I do is I remove the elements that I don't really need to display in my mobile application. Okay, so under the general settings, we have a remove elements menu here. So when we remove elements and when we add something here in the general settings, it will be applied throughout the screen, throughout an application, sorry, right? But the remove elements section is also that this option is also available at the screen level, for example, right? So if we do it at the screen level, then it will be only applicable for that particular screen. Okay, but if we do it at the general settings level, then it will be available at it will be basically applied throughout the application. Okay, so now let's do that. Under the remove elements, let's go to the website and find out that what are some of the elements we don't really need. Okay, so let me make this website responsive first of all to see how the UI looks like. So that's what our mobile application UI as well. Okay, so on the home screen, okay, if we go here, then we have a orders menu, we have a cards menu, and we have a gift menu here. Okay, which I think cards, order and gift and account and find store, all these menus we can cover in the bottom bar, you know. So for example, let's go to the, yeah. Okay, so for the cards, they have one option here which is scan in store. So if I click on it, okay, so that's what their card section is. Okay, manage card and everything is obviously everything is here. So we don't really need a separate, you mean card menu in the navigation, sorry, in the side menu here. Okay, order we had already covered here at the bottom of the screen, which is our menu section, right? We can change the name to the order. Gift, I think gift menu we can create one more screen at the bottom here, which will be a gift, and account is already being covered. And find a store is again something that we can cover in the bottom here. So in the bottom we will be creating two new menus, which is gift and find a store, right? All the other menus are already there. That means we don't really need this hamburger anymore. We have covered almost everything in the hamburger menu, right? And whatever we have in the hamburger menu, everything is available somewhere in the application outside of the hamburger menu. So I can remove this. Okay, so to remove it, what I'll do, I'll click on this little arrow icon here and select this. Okay, so this is what my hamburger menu element is, which is this SVG icon, right? And it's under this button element. Okay, so let's see what's the unique element of this one. So this button is actually under this element here, this div element, and the unique identifier looks like is this one, SB global nav menu button. And if I'm not wrong, then let's find out this element. So you see we found out it at only one place here. Okay, so let's copy this, go to the portal and add this element. Now because it's a class name here, it's class equal to, it's a class name, right? So we need to append dot at the start and then after the elements the class name. And then let's go here and reload the screen. So you see we don't have it here anymore. That's good. Okay, now second thing that I want to remove here is footer. So for example, footer, we can still see the footer at the bottom of the screen, but I don't really want to use it. That's not an useful element to display in the mobile app, right? So let's go here and then find out where the footer is. Okay, oh yeah, that's good. That's easy actually. Footer is under the footer element itself. So let's copy this, the whole footer element. Okay, and just add the element. Now because this element name itself is footer, okay, we don't need to add any extra dot or any other elements at the start or at the end. Okay, the footer name itself is sufficient. So save it as a draft, go to the app again and reload this. Okay, now let's go to the bottom of the screen and you see there is no footer anymore, it's gone. Okay, so that's all good. Okay, now let's see that what start and order button is doing. It's basically bringing me to the order screen. Okay, so so our menu screen is also doing the same thing. You see our menu is also having the same screen. So we don't really need this start order button. This is not required in the application. Okay, so let's remove it. Click on this button and this button is here. Okay, now I don't see any unique element for this div, but if I go inside here, then I see that this data E2E start and order is unique to this element. So let's copy this. So now this is not even a class name, this is not an ID, this is not element name itself, right? This is completely different element. So what we can do for this one, let's go to portal, add a new element, and we need to enter this in between of the square bracket like this and save it as a draft. Okay, and reload this. You see now there is no start and order button, there is only scan button, scan in store button there. Okay, well, good. So I think we did that. One more thing, I don't really want to remove this header here because this good afternoon and all these messages looks perfect in the mobile, whatever they have in the website, it looks perfect, right? So I don't want to remove that. And the logo looks perfect here as well. I can move this logo from here to the native navigation bar, but maybe not. I'm gonna keep it as it is. So instead what I can do, I will keep the header element in the home screen as it is, right? But I still want to remove it from other screens, because in other screens like in menu there is only logo like this, which I don't think it's really required, right? Similarly in the account screen as well, it's not really required. Okay, so let's do that. What I want to do, I want to remove this header completely from other screens, not from the home screen, right? So for that, let's find out the header element, which is this one. I think so. I think this is our header here. Yeah, there you go. This is our header. So let's copy the header. Okay, and now I'm going to remove it only from menu and account. Okay, so remove element, add here, and header, and save it as a draft. Account, remove elements, add here, header, and save it as a draft. Okay, perfect. So let's see, let's go to our app again and then go to the menu, and you see we don't really see that anymore. So now next thing is we still have two screens missing here, right? Because we have removed the hamburger menu from the home screen here, where we had a store screen, and another one was the gift screen. So both of them are missing. So let's do that. Let's add two new screens here, and at the same time we will also change the icon, selected icons, because it's still black color. So let's change the icons, selected icon and the normal icon of all these screens as well. Okay, perfect. So what I'll do, let's go to the home screen first of all, and then update the home screen icon. So let me go here, and I have an icon available for the home, which is this one, and then let me update the selected icon as well. And update this, save it as a draft. Now the next menu that I want to create is a gift menu. So let's create that as well. Screens first of all, gift screen, screen URL. So let's go here and find out the gift URL, which is this one. Okay, and the upload icon. So for the gift, this will be the default icon. Add a new screen and then select the selected icon as well, which is this one. Update and save it as a draft. Now the next, I want to move the gift screen after the home screen. Okay, so let me do that and then save it as a draft. Now let's go to the menu, which is gonna be order screen basically, right? So I'm going to change it to the orders name and save it as a draft. And also let's update the icon. Okay, so I have icons available here for that. This one, update this, and this one, and update this. Oops, I think yeah, sorry. Selected icon, open this and update it and save it as a draft. Yeah, after that account screen, so let me change the icon for this one as well. So this is a non-selected icon and this one will be the selected icon. Update it and save it as a draft. And let's add one more screen for the stores finder. So give it a name stores, and then we need to find out the URL as well, which will be find a store, this one. Okay, and then the screen icon, so same thing for that as well, non-selected icon, add a new screen, and then add selected icon as well, which is this one. Save it as a draft. Okay, so we have all the 5 screens set up, and we did also change the icons of all those screens. So let's see how does it look like. Reload this, and everything looks good here. So let's visit all of them one by one. Gift selected icon is good, menu selected icon is good, account is good again, and the stores is good as well. So everything looks perfect here. Now let's go to our home screen again, and our home screen, in our home screen basically we don't need this navigation bar, right? Because as I said that whatever we have from the website is really good. So let's go to the home screen, navigation bar, and disable this, and then save it as a draft. So let's go to app again and reload this. Okay, which looks perfect now. Okay, now if I look at the home screen, then basically like gift and all those things. So basically the Starbucks title style is on the left hand side, right? So let's do that actually. So on the gift screen, I go to the navigation bar and change the title position to left, save it as a draft. Similarly in the menu as well, change it to the left and save it as a draft. Account screen, change it to the left, and for the stores as well, change it to the left. All good. So let's go here again and reload this. And if we go to gift, it's on the left now, menu is on the left now, account is on the left, and the stores is on the left as well. So everything looks perfect now. Okay, so almost all the changes related to the screens are being done. We did remove elements, we did all the other setups and the customization, selected icons, unselected icons, and then other policies as well. So everything looks perfect. Now let's move to our next part, and let's look at the add-ons for this application, what we should enable here. Okay, so for that I'll go to the add-ons section here, and under the extensions, first thing I want to change here is the font. So I want to match whatever the font style the Starbucks is using, right? So for that, the font I will be using here is Poppins. So let me change it to the Poppins and save it as a draft. Okay, and let me go here and reload this. Okay, so this looks good. So the font style kind of we match that. Okay, and here we are providing 1400 plus fonts. So basically you can select from 1400 plus different fonts based on your brand guidelines, and this is really important feature because it will help you to like have a mobile application, native components, and your website components. Both of them will be having a similar brand guidelines, right? So it's really important feature that you can utilize. Okay, next one, I always recommend everyone to utilize a feature which is a app review feature, right? Because obviously you want to get some more feedback on your application, and more reviews you have, that means the more trust you can gain from your customer, right? So this feature is kind of to generate a trust factor for your business, right? So let's go to the app review and how does it work. Let's take a look. So we just enable the app review here, right? And then after we need to provide the app review schedule. So app review schedule means we need to provide how many times user opens an application, right? And after we need to ask for the review. We want to ask for a review basically. Okay. So for example, if I open an application one time, then close it, open it again, and then close it, open it again, and then close it. So that becomes 3 times. So 3 application opens. Okay. So you need to provide the app open counts with a comma separated values. Okay. So for me, like for example, Starbucks is like users gonna be used every day probably to order something, right? So I don't want to ask review too frequently, like at least one time user open an application and then second time they open it, I want to ask a review. I think we shouldn't do that, because we should let the user use the application for few days, and then after after few days we should ask them for the review, so we have a good chances that they will provide us a good review, right? So what I will do here, that because the frequency is app usage frequency is very high for the Starbucks, right? I'm gonna start with the 10 days first. Sorry, not the 10 days, 10 app opens first, right? And then after maybe 15 app opens, and then after maybe 30 app opens, right? So if user will ignore the review on the 10th app open count, right, then that's okay. The next time I will be asking it as a 15th open count, and the next time we will be asking at a 30th open count. Now here we can provide a longer list, 45, 50, and then 75, and then 100, however we want it. Okay, but we should not ask it too frequently, like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We shouldn't ask it like that. Okay, and then save it as a draft. So that's all good. Okay, now let's go back and see what other features. Let's like to match the brand guideline, let's change the loader color as well, which is what we want here is 006341. So 006341, save it as a draft, right? And then we go to the customization tab and we change, let's select a good page loader here. I think this looks, let me see what other, yeah, this one, this looks good actually. So save it as a draft, and then we did okay. So now let's go here and reload the app. Okay, you see now we have a good loader with a proper animation and everything. So we did customize that as well. All these things are basically to provide a good aesthetic look to your application users, right? And it will give a little bit of a application, the mobile application feeling to your application users as well, because they want to feel that they are using an application and not just, like they are browsing your website in a mobile device, right? And that's why we do provide all these customizations and different extensions and integrations and native components to utilize. That's what make your application more usable, right? And that's what your users going to adapt as well. Okay, now the next thing here we need to do is, obviously for any business, I would always recommend to enable push notifications, right? So push notification is one of the important features that every business should adapt, right? So we are currently offering the Firebase push notification in our existing version as well, right? So everyone knows about that, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but at least let's go there and enable this feature. So it's gonna ask us for the two different files, plist file and the Google's JSON file. So let's upload these files, and how we can generate these files, everything is available here. Enabling push notification, this video will guide you through step-by-step process that how you can enable a push notification and generate these two files and submit it. Okay, now the next one, we go to personalized push notification. So what does the personalized push notification means? So until now we were only supporting generalized push notifications, where you can send notifications to bunch of users altogether, right? Like maybe all of your application users, or maybe only Android users or iOS users, or maybe like you can segment it based on the age, gender and all those things, right? But now we are supporting personalized push notification as well. So personalized push notification means you can send push notification to any single particular user. Instead of sending it to the multiple user at the same time, here you are deciding that you want to send it to any single particular user. Now, what are the use cases for that? Like in the Starbucks scenario, it can be an order notification, right? That your order is ready, your order is getting delivered, your driver is on the way, like that, those kind of notifications. And those kind of notifications are personalized, those are not generalized, right? Okay, so let's enable this. After enabling this, now we need to provide a webhook URL here. So what is webhook URL? Let's understand that part. Okay, now webhook URL means you need to provide one URL, okay, where we will be submitting a post request. We will be submitting some information to that URL, okay, as a post request. Now in the post request, what we will be sending, what kind of data we will be sending? So this is what we will be sending there. First of all, we will be sending the token. So whenever you want to send a notification to any single particular user, okay, you need their device token, their device unique identifier, that which device we should send this notification to. Okay, so we will be finding out this token, and then we will be sending this token to this post request. So that's first thing, right? Second thing is email address. Now, because you want to send a notification to any single user, obviously you want to map this token to any particular user, to any unique user, that this token is belong to this user, right? So if your user is currently logged into the application, then we will be sending email address as well. If he is not logged in, he or she is basically not logged in, right? Then we will be sending this as a null. Okay, but for example, user open your application, enabled the push notification, and then immediately we will be sending the token and the platform that they are using Android device or iOS device. Okay, these two information, and at that point, because the user is currently just open your application, okay, we will not have an information to email address because they might not be logged in at that point. Okay, so we won't be sending this information. But as soon as user will be logged into your application, right, we will be sending this information as well, that okay, now this token is actually being used by this email address. Okay, so we will be sending a post request twice to this webhook URL. Once user will accept the push notification permission, right, and again when user will be logging to the application, and we will get the email address or whatever the login field you are using. It can be email address or the username or the phone number, whatever you are using, right? Yeah, so that way, once we will send this information to this particular URL, this webhook URL, right, then after you can get this information, and then you can store this information in your database. Okay, now after you have this information available in your database, okay, you can utilize this information to send push notification to any single particular user. Okay, and how you can basically send notification from your website or from whatever backend you have implemented, right? So if you are using a Shopify, WordPress, or any like Laravel or Ruby on Rails, Python, Java, or any website technologies, all of them are providing some kind of libraries and packages to satisfy this requirement. So you can always utilize whatever library your platform is providing. Okay. Now the next thing, whenever user will be logged out from the application, for example, right? So for example, if user will be logging out from the application, right, then we will be disconnecting this token from the user. So what we will do, we will again send you the token, the platform, but the email address will be null again. So that means when we will send that information, and if in your database you find out that this token is connected to this email address, but this time in a new response I got this token without this email address, that means user is logged out from the device. So you should disconnect, you should remove the mapping from your database as well. Okay, all good. So that's it about the push notification, personalized push notification, right? Let me just write down any dummy URL for now and then save it as a draft. Go back, and abandoned cart notifications. Now the next one, these notifications are really very useful because all the e-commerce or restaurant or those kind of brands are always using these kind the abandoned cart notifications because they want to bring their users back. Okay, what they want to bring their users back, and they want to let them know that you have something in your cart, order it now. Okay, and that way you can generate your business revenue, you can grow your business revenue, right? Because you are bringing your users back. You are reminding them by sending a notification that you have a few items in your cart. So these notifications are really very useful. Okay, so let's enable this. The first thing we need to provide is select here is a cart identifier type. So it can be either a selector or a script. Okay, so selector means you just need to provide the cart counter selector. So let's go to Starbucks website here, and then go to their order screen, right? And let me add something to the cart. Add to order. Okay, so you see in the shopping bag here I have counter 1 here. Okay, so we need to find out the identifier of this element, that number. Okay, so let's go here, and you see that we have this one under this element data E2E cart order count. Okay, so let's copy this, and then because it's a normal identifier like this, we need to wrap it inside the square brackets. Okay, and now this is a selector. Okay, now this is a selector, so because selector should always return kind of integer value. Now what if you don't have, in your website you don't really use like numbers or anything for the cart counter? So in that situation you should use script as well. You can utilize this option as well. Okay, so how the script is basically working. Okay, so script means, let me go to abandoned cart notification here. Okay, so the script means whenever your cart is empty, okay, so for example whenever you don't have anything in the cart, right? So what it says that if your cart counter element does not have, the script must return true if cart is not empty. Okay, so for example, if cart is not empty, if there is anything in the cart, then it should return true. Okay, but if the cart is empty, then it should return false. So in this condition here as well, I have a sample script here which says that if document.querySelector, so this is kind of a script here that I'm identifying that if on my page, okay, cart dot is visible, then send a true, because if the cart dot is visible, that means that there is something in the cart. Okay, but if it's not visible, then return false, because then there is nothing in the cart. So for example, in my website, instead of using a counter like this, I am just displaying a dot or something, just an indicator that you have something in the cart. And usually we use those kind of different designs, right? Either a dot or a counter or something like that, right? So at that point, if you are not using counter, then you can use it. You can use a script as well. Okay, so for now I'm going to use a selector. Okay, that's all good. Now the next thing is notification title. So notification title will be displayed like this here. Okay, and the description will be displayed like this, the second part. Okay, so you need to decide that what notification title and notification message you want to display. Let me select the notification title here. I have it available with me, and then the description as well. Okay, so I have filled it up. Now the next part is notification schedule. So after how many days you want to send a notification to abandoned cart notification. So for me, like in this situation, like 1, 2, 3 every day I want to do that, right? And this is basically scheduled days. So first day, second and third day I want to send a abandoned cart notification if the values are still there. I mean if the cart is still not empty, right? Okay, notification click URL. So when user click on the push notification, so for example user got this notification, and when they click on it, where we want to bring them, where we want to redirect them. So obviously I want to redirect them to the cart screen, right? So I'll click on this cart, and here I have a cart screen, and that's where I want to redirect them. So let's go to portal again and then add this URL and save it as a draft, and that's it. Your work is done here. So your abandoned cart notification is enabled as well, right? So once user will have an abandoned cart in your application, they will get notification for first, second and third days, and you can use more days as well if you want, right? It's totally up to you. It's totally dependent based on your use case and your business scenarios. Okay, so I think we have enabled enough add-ons as well for this application, right? Whatever the most important ones I have already covered here. So we did our branding setup, we did our app theme setup, we did some customizations in the screens menu, added a new screen, updated selected, unselected icons, we did updated navigation bar and the removed elements and all those things, right? So we did that as well. And then after we had enabled few extensions and integrations as well. And now the next step is basically to build your application for request of build for Android and iOS, like setup, signing information, and do all this setup, request builds, and then just submit it to stores. So you see, like we have completed this application development within less than 1 hour, right? And it's not that much hard, right? I mean, it's pretty easy to set up everything, all the steps one by one. It's like you are playing with a Lego. So that's it for this webinar, and I'll see you guys in the next one. In the meantime, if you guys have any other questions or concerns, you can always reach out to us via our live chat, or you can send us an email on hello@twinr.dev. You can also refer to our help documentation at help.twinr.dev for the detailed information. So thank you again, and thanks for joining us in this webinar.